guess I'm a man of many different hats. Everything I do is revolved around DJing. You know, I've been DJing 11 years, but you know, I also teach DJing here at Dubspot. I work for Native Instruments as a DJ product specialist, so I train a lot of their endorsed artists and new Traktor artists. And I also tour manage for a lot of these artists, so once I train them, a lot of them take me on tour with them to just kind of train them on the road and just help them build on their DJ setups. I also do some other DJ things on the side, like beat gridding people's tracks in Traktor. I work for a production company here in New York City called Verboten. They've been doing some really great underground house parties at good units. So yeah, everything's DJ related from all day. DJ.
So let's take a step back. What's your first musical memory?
Building drum kits out of my random pieces of furniture and pots and pans in my mom's kitchen, I guess. You know, I used to just make these kits and I'd beat on them with pencils and stuff, and eventually my parents decided to give me a drum kit, and it's all over from there.
So did you take formal lessons for drumming and all that?
Yeah, I was actually in a school band, starting in 5th grade, I believe, and I was the drummer in the band. It was like an orchestra kind of style band, and I was in school band from 5th grade all the way through college. I was in my school band at the University of Vermont, and just have done music ever since then. But yeah, from then I went to Berklee College of Music, and I studied electronic music synthesis, electronic music production and synthesis, and also my main instrument was drums. And throughout my whole college experience, I was a DJ, and always was involved in lots of DJ happenings and singing.
How did the DJing start?
DJing started, I met a couple after going to my first rave. This was Woodstock '99. I basically said, this is what I want to do. I want to, do this kind of music, and I met a few local DJs, DJ Patty and Tricky Pat from Vermont, and they taught me how to mix records. And I just got hooked on beat matching because they were playing break beats, so that's very percussive, and basically just looked at it as having two drummers making them play the same speed and the same time, and it just came naturally for me. I got hooked and never went back once I started. It was just full force from day one.
How has Berklee kind of shaped you today?
Well, Berklee actually is really strict on music theory, learning ear training and harmony. And I had this really amazing teacher, Mitch Hoppers, who taught me ear training. And basically, you're singing the notes with the song, and I use my ear training kind of practice to try to figure out the key of my records. And for every song, I would just practice. This was more practice for class. I was trying to figure out the keys of each record, and I started writing them down on the sleeve. And then I read this book called How to DJ Right, and it talked about harmonic mixing, and I checked out mix and key, and it just really changed everything, changed the way I DJ. But still to this day, I play every record on the piano. I just use mix and key.
So talk about that process. What do you mean when you find the right key while we practice playing on the piano?
Yeah, so I'll buy a song, and I'll run it through mixed in key, and mixed in key will tell me the key of the song, or what it thinks the key is. And then I'll just, in batches, I'll go through, I'll just sort by key, and then I'll just go through and confirm that it's in the key of A minor. So basically every song that I've bought in the past couple of years is manually in key. So it's nerdy. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it for anybody else, but it's just my own. I just like being confident that I know what I'm playing is going to be in the same key, the right key.
Well, it matters to you. It also differentiates you from other people that don't necessarily do that.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And it just helps me, I guess, to be that much better of a DJ. And I enjoy it anyway. It helps me as a kind of learning the piano as well.
And you kind of work with Jaco a little bit on his products. Tell us about that.
So basically, well, when Mixing Key 3 came out, I was already keying on my records, and I sent them a message or posted on their forums, and I was like, hey guys, this isn't accurate. Like, I did a test and it was only 30-something% accurate. And so basically, I think this kind of stirred things up, and Yakov started emailing me, and so I would basically send them every month. I would send them like a few hundred tracks that I manually keyed, and I would give them a chart on what keys they really were in. And I just, they used these results to help build their algorithm for the next generation of mixing keys.
How did that work?
I don't know exactly what they were doing in their labs, but it was important to him enough that, you know, he was hiring me to do these tracks for them, and they somehow, he said that apparently part of my brain's in the mixing key algorithm. I don't know exactly how they did it, but you know, it feels good. Pretty amazing, and now they can even key short loops as well,
which is great for the new Traktor, which has all the
yeah, I guess sample decks are cool, but even for production, like for producers, like before it was just for DJs, and now if you're a producer, you can key all your loops, and if you're making a song in the key of A, you can find all your loops that are in the key of A.
No, I didn't think about that, yeah.
So, shh, don't tell anybody. Like, I used to have an electronic drum kit. It took up half of my studio, so I had to sell it. It was like having a car parked in my room. But I used to love those things. I'd play them all the time in the studio, but then there became the whole issue of latency and all this stuff was going on, so I just had to get rid of them. But I love my Maschine. I bring it everywhere with me. You know, I DJ with it, and you can also make tracks with it now. And with the integration of Complete and each sound having its own 8 knobs, that's gonna have me making a lot of music in the next year. So.
Well, also Maschine is, you know, somewhat how you got a lot of notoriety when you came out with your custom mapping for that.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about that?
So when I got the Maschine controller, first thing that I got out of the box, I'm like, this is the best DJ controller. I want to make this thing a DJ controller, and
Why did you think that?
Just the pads, like I just had this vision, I guess, as soon as I opened the box of exactly what I wanted each button to do and each knob to do, and I just basically stayed up for 3 days straight. My roommates were worried about me. I was sitting on the couch just programming this thing, and I made this mapping that was like 700 MIDI commands deep. And, but it just made total sense. Basically, in the mapping, it has this one button that basically goes over all the fundamentals of DJing with one push of a button. So you push the button, it goes to the first cue point, it turns play on, it turns sync on. Think of that like in a turntablist perspective. You gotta rewind to the beginning, that's cue point 1. You gotta play, and you gotta beat match, sync. That's just one button, everything's done. So now it frees you up from thinking about mixing and more about what you're gonna do with your mix. And so when we did that video here at Dubspot, it got such a big response. I think there were like 100,000 downloads of the mapping, and you know, I still go, you know, when I travel around the world, I see DJs using Maschine. I kind of take a look over, and they're all using my mapping. And you know, even DJs like Carl Cox is still using my mapping. Nick Vanchuli. There's someone else I'm forgetting, but you know, like big guys, you know, using my mapping. It's great, and they depend on it. Mapping. Well, it definitely helped me really get to know Traktor inside out, because if you know how to map a controller like that, like the way I did, you're learning every command in Traktor, and you can get under the hood, and that's what these guys kind of like having me do. It's I'll customize the controllers the way that they DJ, and I guess it really kind of gave me an edge as an artist trainer, just having that practice under my belt.
So how did that also must have manifested itself from being involved with Native Instruments?
Yep. Yeah. That's the main reason I met a lot of the artists. You know, Native would send me out, and I would train the artist, and I guess just me being a DJ with a lot of experience, I know with these guys how these guys kind of brain works, and I get in there and help help them take their art form to the next level just using Traktor, and you know, just try to find workarounds to do what they need to do.
So how did the relationship with Native Instruments come about?
So my final project at Berkeley, it's kind of funny. We had to. It's called MS 491 is our final class, and basically we had to go in and pick a project that's going to decide the fate for our whole career. And I didn't know that because I missed the first class, so I came in on day 2, and everyone was picking their projects, and the last minute I'm like, I want to do a demo on Traktor. When they called me, I want to do a demo on Traktor, I want to do harmonic mixing, and I want to put together a portfolio for Native Instruments. That's the only company I want to work for. So that's what I did. I did this DVD on how to use Traktor, created a new system of harmonic mixing for DJs who don't want to use key lock, and just put together a resume and basically chased Native Instruments for a year. I didn't apply to anybody else. I was just dead set. I was like, this is what I'm going to do, and eventually they came to meet with me at Berkeley and hired me from there. So I started as a tour manager with Dubfire, actually. He was my second training with Native Instruments, and you know, we had such a good session that and I was just right out of college. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you know, just working part-time. He's like, well, why don't you come to Asia with me for a month? And then, so I've been tour managing for him for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. And from there, it's spawned out to other artists. I'm tour managing now for Dubfire, Sharam. I've done a couple gigs with Sasha, Steve Lawler, tour managed for Pete Tong, and recently Felix Tha Housecat just brought me aboard. So it's been great, you know, I get to travel, and sometimes I get to open and DJ these clubs around the world, and it's been really exciting. I get to meet a lot of amazing people. So I've been teaching Dubspot for maybe 5 years, give or take, and yeah, so I used to come back and forth from Boston even to come teach here, and now I live in New York. I recently helped write the online digital DJing with Traktor class, which is it's a few month course. I can't remember exactly, but and it just takes you through all the fundamentals of DJing. But since it's an online course, it's basically focused on internal mixing. So we take you through all the concepts of mixing, but using Traktor internally. But of course, we also encourage them to use turntables and stuff. And then I've also been teaching in class at Dubspot during the week, and it's just been an amazing experience taking students from the start until the end, teaching all of DJing, and Traktor is our main platform now, so we get really advanced in the class at the end. And also for Dubspot, I write a lot of blog posts, and I do a lot of tutorial videos, which have gotten a lot of response, and it's overwhelming how many people write to me like, I really appreciate your videos. And it's crazy now. I mean, I just watched this change happen so fast from going from vinyl to controllers. Like, it happened in months. And now pretty much most of the students that come to me now are like, I have the S4 or I have the X1. And so a lot of people are more controller based these days, and I'm just seeing everyone move that way. Not just the newer generation, like a lot of the newer DJs are going S4, but the big DJs as well. Like a lot of, you know, the headliner, like A-tier artists are just going to controllers. They're saying, I don't want to beat match anymore. I want to just focus on creative things like looping and just worrying about that and remixing their tracks live. And I just think that's the way things are going. I don't know how I feel about that. Like growing up as a vinyl DJ, I love the feel of vinyl. I love mixing, but it's just times are changing, and people are saying forget beat matching, let's do other stuff. Exactly, and it just frees you up to be more creative as a DJ. And think about things, you know, like harmonic mixing and looping, all that good stuff. Who knows what's going to happen next?
What do you think is going to happen next?
Well, I'm kind of seeing, you know, I guess they say everything in music comes full circle. I see a lot of the bigger guys now wanting to play all their old records, and a lot of people are taking their disco records and warping them in Ableton and bringing them back into Traktor, so now everyone's kind of bringing the old style back but using it in a new way. And right now I see everyone kind of going to controllers, but I also see them wanting a more human feel, so I'm just wondering if someone's going to come out with something to kind of tie back the world. The one thing Traktor did that's actually amazing, it's underrated I think, is soft syncing. So now you can sync the BPMs of both decks, but you can still have that time code feel. You can still do your pushing and pulling on the turntables, but once you get it locked, it stays locked. So now, you know, I'm looking at switching back to the turntables again, and like maybe doing some 4-deck stuff, you know, and like with 4 decks, like real decks. You know, who knows what's going to happen? Everyone's kind of going different directions. It's craziness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my style has really evolved. I used to be a breaks DJ, but it's really, the sound I'm going for lately is more groovy tech house meets deep house, bit deep bassline-y kind of house music. It's kind of the sound I've been going for. Very musical for the opening stuff, and very groovy and chunky, and a lot of vocals and stuff for the peak time, I guess.
Okay, so where are you, what's your next big show?
Well, my next big show is at BPM Fest in Playa del Carmen, and it's a festival that happens every year. It starts the day before New Year's Eve, I believe, and goes until January 10th. And it's just amazing DJs for 10 days, all underground music, amazing crowd. I would say the people who throw the festival are the best promoters in the world. A bunch of my friends from Toronto. Craig Pettigrew, who's actually a Dubspot student, helps organize the event. So I'll be playing Cool Beach at Playa del Carmen.
And when is that?
That's going to be, they haven't given me the date yet, but it'll probably be, you know, like January 3rd, January 4th. But I'll definitely be playing Cool Beach.
And what are you going to bring out as far as your DJ rig?
For my DJ rig, I'll probably bring out Maschine for this gig.
Just Maschine?
Just Maschine. I like using the Pioneer Nexus mixer because it has all all 4 decks routed out internally, and then I use the Maschine to trigger all my cue points and loops and effects and everything. So I'll probably use Maschine for that gig, but I'm probably going to try some new stuff in 2012 for DJing.
Like what?
I've been recently experimenting using the sample decks with the Korg Nano control. It's a really good controller for sample decks, and I've been using that for volumes and filters over it, and I've just been spending a lot of time sampling all my records, just taking the best parts out of each one and keying them all up, and basically getting my arsenal of samples ready to play with live.
Sounds like you're wading into the waters of controllerism there.
Yeah, you know, coming from vinyl, I went from vinyl to controllers, to strictly controllers, and just the way I have my machine mapped out, it's like my brain, that's the way I think, and I can't really turn away from it. I just love how it's set up. You know, I have buttons to pre-listen my songs before I load them in, so I know how everything's going to sound before it even happens, and just like that magic button that I had set up, I love it.
Where do you think your DJ rig's going to be in like 3 years?
Hopefully, I'll go back to the turntables. Like, if I had it my way, I'd be using Maschine with 4 turntables. That would be my ideal setup.
Except that you don't want to drag them around from
Right.
gig to gig.
Exactly. Yeah, but who knows? I always try to be the test dummy for all the new stuff, because a lot of people are always asking me, how does this work and how does that work? So I always give everything a try and try to incorporate that somehow into my DJ rig. You know, talking about like the future of DJing, where things are moving, Like the Pioneer Nexus just allows you to plug into the mixer and have all 4 decks routed internally. You can even plug CDs or turntables into it. And that's making everyone's life a lot easier when it comes to setup. You don't have to deal with all the spaghetti of cables anymore. You just plug in and you're done. So that's really kind of moving things forward, I think. And same with the Zone DB4, amazing mixer, best sounding mixer I think out there. You know, if you're playing internally, you can use all 4 channels on the mixer, and it sounds amazing. I remember the first time I heard Dubfire using the Zone DB4, I was on the dance floor. I was just like, got this feeling from the sound that I haven't felt since people were using vinyl. It's pretty incredible. Touring the world, rocking the clubs all around everywhere. You know, that's what I'll be doing.